Hey Brawlers, it's me, Ren, and okay, you already read the title, so I'm gonna skip the formal stuff. Giving you a spoiler warning right now. If you haven't watched this episode, you might want to click away, but if you have, sit back, relax, and enjoy my review of Armored Alliance Episode 2. So something I didn't talk about in my last video was they changed Shun's voice actor for this season. Shun is now voiced by Jamie Joe Gonzaga. I mean, he's doing a pretty decent job. Last season we had this.
I am Shun Kazami. I am a Bakugan Brawler too.
Hi, I'm Haru Ren. I'm a Bakugan Brawler as well. That's how you sound. The first part is called Baku-Gear, which is revealed Shun is the one that came out with the name.
That's lame.
Okay then, exciting add-on?
Lamer!
Special topping?
It's not a pizza!
What if we called it Baku-Gear?
Yes, that's it!
The episode starts with Dan and the Awesome Brawlers figuring out how to control Baku-Gear, and they get interrupted by Trey. Trey uses chess as a style of battling, and he says that he wants to fight Dan. So basically, Trey's style of battling is the mimicking of Lelouch from Code Geass.
My two pieces will have the King Drago in double check. There! Check!
With this, I call check.
Wait, backtrack a bit. Did he just call Fangzor Bear?
There! Check!
And it turns out Trey is A's brother, and he wants to beat Dan to avenge A's failure to beat Dan. It's here during this battle that it really shows the thing I really like about this show. Trey was just introduced to us, and immediately we get a sense of his character while also developing A's. Trey is really a know-it-all boy that thinks he knows everything, and it's clear he and A love each other, but Trey thinks of himself more better than A because even though A could Bakugan battle, as a person he's pretty crap at everything else. And Trey thinks beating Dan won't make A a waste of space. And you know what? That's pretty funny, actually. A also just sits there and takes every subtle insult that Trey says about him.
My big brother is, if I'm being honest, not the brightest. He has no way with girls, and he's always getting in trouble with our parents. He's really not cool at all. If I can't do something about it, then my brother will remain a waste of space!
Christ, the delivery is way harsher when you imagine the dialogue in all caps. I just can't believe A just sits there taking it. Like, come on, show some fight, man. I mean, seriously, guys, can you imagine if your sibling thought they were so superior to you that they call you a waste of space? Hey, Derek, do you think I'm a waste of space?
Yes.
What?
Aw, you have a really good brother.
I mean, it's pretty clear A knows how bad he really is. Heck, he tried to rob a burger place for God's sake. But he clearly wants his better part to live through Trey, which is why he's so proudful of him all the time. At first, Trey seems like he's got the advantage because Dan is such a conceited character that Trey exploits, but because Dan also has main character powers, this helps Drago from fainting. Dan summons the Baku-Gear and shoots the snake and bug, but Dan still can't seem to figure out how he summoned the Baku-Gear. So they still went nowhere except giving Baku-Gear a name. Okay, let's move on. The second part is called Bakugan Rock. We start off this episode with the Awesome Brawlers figuring out how to control the Baku-Gear, and Dan for some reason thinks that Baku-Gear is something only he can use.
I guess people realize it's something super special only I can use.
Sorry Dan, but I don't think your egotistical personality is enough to satisfy your main character powers to go over 9,000. Lia and Wynton decides to try and figure out Baku-Gear for themselves, so this episode turns into a Wynton and Lia bonding episode. They encounter Chad and Chester, I think Kiss fans or something. They want to make people wear spikes like them for some reason. You know, not every rock and roll band wears spikes. That's such a terrible stereotype I just cannot stand. You know, to this episode's credit, it's not just Wynton and Lia's relationship that's really gets sort of developed here, it's subtle storytelling and depth that's being explained. Chad and Chester think that the Awesome Brawlers are weak without Dan because Dan is the main character, guys, so without Dan, we just assume they suck. But Lia and Wynton spend this episode proving they're able to stand on their own without needing Dan to save them. They battle and hey look, Aqua's Trincanius! But things take a turn for the worse when these two terrible rock and roll stereotypes are able to unleash Baku-Gear. But it seems Wynton has been researching Baku-Gear to try and figure out for himself as well, and finally they figure out that Baku-Gear appears as a last resort mechanic in this game. Took you long enough to figure that out! Wynton and Lia unleash their gear and defeats the bad stereotypes, then now it appears that everyone has access to Baku-Gear, so Dan is now embarrassed that he was wrong about being the unique main character. Don't worry, Dan, you'll always still have the Maximus thing, and soon the Auxiliator fusion thing. So that was Armored Alliance Episode 2. Let me know what you guys thought by voting in the poll using these options: Baku-tastic, Baku-good, Baku-Gear in the middle, Baku-downer, and What the Buck. Overall, I thought this was a pretty solid episode. It concluded the mystery of figuring out Baku-Gear and was written pretty good to be generic but entertaining episode nonetheless, so I wasn't at all bored. Maybe if we had Wynton and Lia butting heads and end up racing to see who figures it out first, and they come to two different conclusions and then realize their conclusions are connected, so they use that knowledge to win the fight, or something like that, maybe it could have piqued my interest a lot more. This episode of Armored Alliance was Baku-good. Thank you for watching this review of Bakugan Armored Alliance. If you liked it, please leave a comment down below to let us know what you thought, and give us a subscribe for more awesome Bakugan content. I've been Haru Ren, stay safe, stay isolated, and that was Bakugan. Bye!